Hey y'all, it's Crystal. Thanks so much for coming by today. So today I'm going to do another fun little video where we're just going to have some fun. Okay, this is just pure fun. So I don't know, maybe a few months ago now, a couple months, I don't know, I did a fun video recommending some horror books to the members of the K-pop group BTS. And so since I'm in the midst of doing K-tropathon, I thought I would do another kind of K-pop video. So this time I'm going to recommend some books to the members of the K-pop group Ateez. Ateez are one of my favorite groups. I love them so much. They just released a new kind of mini album which has been on repeat because it is amazing. It's so good. And so I thought this would be fun just to recommend some books to the members of Ateez. Now I'm not going to stick to just horror because I'm finding that a little hard. So, so these are just any kind of book to the members of Ateez. Now, what I've done is I've got about 2 books per member, and then also a book that I would like to buddy read with that member. So I thought that would be fun too, and maybe my wish could come true. Probably not, but anyway. A girl can dream. So, so the Ateez, they're an 8-member group. They debuted in 2018. So they are a somewhat younger group, but they're over the past, I'd say, couple years, have really kind of catapulted in popularity, and for good reason. Because honestly, I just feel like no one's really doing it like Ateez nowadays. They are just amazing performers. I will link maybe like some concert footage or something. I'll find something below. Just stage presence. Just the stage presence of these guys is just like none other. I love a lot of K-pop groups, but anyway. Anywhoozle, I just love me some Ateez. So let's get going into this because again, there's 8 members. So first, I don't have them in any kind of order here. I just kind of wrote them down as I was thinking of their names. So we have Yeosang. First of all, I do really love Yeosang, guys. And he is a wonderful singer, dancer. Of course, they all are. But he has this wonderful sort of low singing voice that is just, woo, it's so good. So Yeosang is also, I think he's really kind of sweet and kind and kind of quiet member. So I feel like he would like books that have just a touch of magic, that are not really too dark, but that have a sort of lightness to them. And so I think that he would like these 2 books. The first will be Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. So this author is, to me, just someone to read if you like really sort of family-based stories in particular, usually set in small towns. So I'm usually right here in North Carolina because she is a North Carolina author. With, again, just that touch of magic, a little magical realism to add just a little bit of quirkiness to our characters. You will like Sarah Addison Allison, and Garden Spells is definitely one of those books. I also maybe Yeosang would like The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. It's another story that has sort of a touch of magic, and there's also this sort of performance piece to the Night Circus that I think Yeosang would perhaps connect to, and a little darkness, but not too dark, because I don't think Yeosang would go too dark in his books. So the Night Circus, a lot of people have read this book, but we're following this cast of characters that make up a night circus. It's a circus that's only that travels around, and you can only get to it when it's night. And sort of in the background, there is a competition between these 2 magicians, and they're sort of they're students essentially, to be sort of the top magician. And there's a love story. Again, there's magic. There's performance. It's a really wonderful story, and I kind of think that Yeosang would like that. Now, as far as buddy reading, I would really like to buddy read Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher with Yeosang. Again, I've read some T. Kingfisher, mostly her horror stuff, and I really like to dig into some of her more fantasy stuff, and I feel like it would be something that's not too dark, but would be really interesting, and I would like to read this book with Yeosang. I think it would be fun. Okay, Hongjung. Hongjung is the leader of the Ateez, and he's fantastic as a leader, and he's sort of the main rapper. Again, amazing performer. He looks great. We love some Hongjung. We do. I kind of feel, look, Hongjung, I don't make up the rules. He's an SFF guy. I just know it deep in my bones, okay? I really do. Yeah, he's SFF all the way. So what I want to recommend to him is a classic. I want to recommend Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick, because I think that he would really like this. It's got a grittiness to it of like a detective story, but also, again, this science fiction element with these androids that have come down to Earth, but they're not supposed to be here. So we're following Decker as he is tracking them down. And yeah, I think that he would really, I just think he would really like that. I also would like to really recommend him a really complex fantasy, Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. I talk about this book a lot. I really do. I know I do. It's because I absolutely love it. And I think Hongjung would be one to dig into a real good fantasy, and I think that he would like the complexity of this story with these really interesting characters and this really interesting world as we're following this sort of hodgepodge characters as they are essentially tracking down a lost child. But there's way more here, and it's just a good story. I think he would like it. So I would like to buddy read the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang, because I still haven't read that series. I know, look, I only have so much time, but I would like to buddy read this with Hongjung, and let's get to this trilogy and really spend some time together talking about it. Wouldn't that be fun? Okay, let's move on to San. Oh, Sunny. So San is a hell of a performer. First of all, watch this dude dance. He's amazing. He gives like 1,000%. We love San. And now San is actually from, I tried to like search like books by Ateez or that they've read and stuff. It's hard to find stuff, but I had once upon a time I did read where San actually does like to read like thriller type books. So I thought I'd recommend a couple of thrillers that were written by women. I feel like he would be interested in that. So first up would be Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I think he would really like the darkness and grittiness of this story. This is a dark book. Okay, it goes into underage, sort of like videoing of with minors, and but it's really good too. Yeah, so it's really good as we're figuring out what's going on, and there's secrets, and it's so good. I also would think he would have a good time with Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Kane. I love this book too. A woman comes home one day and her house is surrounded by the cops, and she's like, what the hell's going on? So a car has crashed into her garage, and she's like, oh man, what the hell? But in the garage, yeah, is a dead body of this woman, and comes to find out her husband's a serial killer. So we follow her and her two kids as they are it's post-trial and everything like that, as she's having to move every so often. She's trying to keep her kids safe and keep her identity safe. Oh, again, twists and turns. It's so good when she ends up in this little town called Stillhouse Lake, and some bodies start showing up with the sort of the same MO as her husband. Oh, it's so good, you guys. It's so good. And for another thriller that I like to buddy read with San is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pembroke, because I still haven't read this book. I've heard it so good with like a really twisty ending. I haven't read it yet, so maybe San and I could buddy read that, and we would have a really good time. Yeah. Okay. Songhwa. Oh, we love Songhwa. My sister and I, we love Songhwa. Okay, so I think I don't know. I feel like he would like, again, some kind of dark things. I don't know why. Even though he has a sweetness to him too, he has this twinkle in his eye, if you know what I mean, that I think he likes some dark and twisty things. So I got a couple of things here that I think he would have a lot of fun with. First of all, Dust Devils by Jonathan Janz. This is a vampire book set kind of in the Wild West. I think it would really appeal to Songhwa, and basically there's a traveling troupe that these are our vampires that go kind of from town to town, and they put on these sort of shows, and then they slaughter everybody. And so we got a couple of there's like a man who gets kind of wrapped up with trying to like kill the vampires, and there's this little kid who's like trying to avenge his parents and his family were killed by these vampires, so he's tracking them down. There's lots of things going on. It's bloody, it's gory, it's it's cowboy stuff, western stuff, begin with all this really cool vampire stuff. It's really fun. It's a really good book, and I think Sung will have a lot of time with that. And I kind of wonder if he would be interested in the Three Dark Crowns series by Kendari Blake. This is a series I really enjoyed. The book 4 really let me down, but the series in general was just super enjoyable. It is a YA kind of, I guess, fantasy-ish type of story, and we're on this in this land. There's this island, and there, every so often, there needs to be a new queen, and so there's triplets that are born, and they're raised in sort of separate sections of the island, and when they turn 15 or 16, I can't remember, they usually kind of have this battle to the death kind of thing, and that girl will be the new queen. And so we're following them as they're approaching this time of when this battle royale is going to happen, and each of the girls kind of has their own kind of power. Essentially there's like a poisoner and things like that, and there's one that has a connection with sort of animals. It's just really interesting. There's a real darkness to all of this, because two of the girls are gonna die, like what I mean. Of course things happen to make this a 4-book series, but I just really, really enjoyed these characters and this world that was created by Kendari Blake, and the complexity of this whole thing. The characters were super interesting. And again, there's just this underlying darkness that threads through this series that I kind of think Sunghwa would enjoy. So we'll see. Sunghwa is also a massive Star Wars fan, so I would like to just read a Star Wars book with him. I think that would be really fun. I've been reading a few books of the New Republic series and liking that, but I'd read any Star Wars book with him, and we would have a lot of fun together reading some Star Wars, because he likes Star Wars. Okay, Jung-ho. Jung-ho is actually the youngest member of the group, but he doesn't necessarily behave that way. He's very quiet and introverted, but also at times really kind of serious. And he takes things really, he takes his job very seriously. He's a wonderful singer. He hits these high notes that just are amazing. I kind of think that he would be drawn to books that are really kind of complicated and that make you think, maybe have a bit of darkness to them, but definitely are just really kind of complicated, make you think kind of stories. So what I've recommended for Jung-ho is Negative Space by B.R. Yeager, because this book will set your gears turning in your brain. It is dark. It is disturbing at times. We're basically following teenagers in this kind of small town as they are using this drug to, stimulate things, go places, right? That's what drugs do. But they kind of get more than they bargained for, and there's this sort of epidemic of suicides in this town, and how all this spins around in itself. There's a what's the word I'm looking for? A feeling of just hopelessness with everyone here. It's just, and then the ending comes out, and you're like, what? This book makes you think. It's so good, and I really need to do a reread, because I think it would benefit, but I think Jung-ho would really appreciate the complexity of that story, along with The Vegetarian by Han Kang, another just really complex story with some super interesting characters. So our main character, who we never hear the perspective from, so she's not the main character, but there's a woman who decides to be a vegetarian, which in Korea is basically like, what? I don't understand this. And so she's married, she gets like pushback from her husband. She gets pushback from her family, her father particularly. There's this awful scene of like she's being force fed and stuff. Well, it's tragic. So it goes through these periods. Like the first section is we get the perspective of her husband. There's a perspective of her brother-in-law, which really plays into this obsession. This was super interesting. And then there's a perspective of her sister, who who is taking care of her by the end of everything, because she gets to a point where she's just not eating it at all. Anyway, but again, just a really complex story, and dark at times. Yeah, I think Mr. Jung Ho would like that. So buddy reading, I would like to buddy read Blindness by Jose Saramago with Jung Ho, because one, it's a book I want to read, but I'm also like kind of nervous to read because I've seen the movie already, and there is a scene in this movie that is so disturbing. Like I literally just kind of just like cringed, and I just was like, oh God, But I also like really want to read this book. But I'm nervous. So in the book, there's all of a sudden everybody just loses their sight and they go blind, and they're put into these kind of like facilities almost. So our main character didn't go blind, but she follows her husband into this facility to just to kind of take care of him, and it just falls into this just awful situation basically. And yeah, anyway, I want to read it, but I don't. So maybe if I buddy read with Jung Ho, I would actually like pick it up and read it, right? Buddy reads are always helpful for that. Okay, a few more. So Yun Ho, again, we love Yun Ho, we do. I feel like Yun Ho would really like, kind of like Yosang in a way, would like speculative fiction, but a bit on the slightly lighter side. We're not going to get into really complex and dark in these stories, but I feel like he would like something with some speculative things in them, right? Does that make sense? So first of all, I think Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I think Yun Ho would really like this book. It there is a sadness in this book. There is an underlying sort of sadness to it, but and I don't want to say much about this book because I feel like you say too much about it and you really spoil this book. So just go into this book not knowing much, but it's lovely. That's all I'm going to say about it. And also, I wonder if you would like The Age of Miracles by Karen Thompson Walker. So, I've read a couple things by Karen Thomas Walker. This one and The Dreamers, I think it's called. I really loved both. I really like this author in general. So, in The Age of Miracles, something happens to sort of the earth. It kind of like shifts an axis almost. And so the time gets really strange, and it starts affecting people really strangely. And we're following a couple characters as they're dealing with this, kind of in like this neighborhood essentially. It's just a really interesting story, but it's not like too heavy in the sci-fi as far as what's happening with the earth and everything. It's really more about the characters and how the situation affects them and how they deal with it. And I feel like that's something that Yun Ho would really appreciate. And kind of the same as far as my buddy read. I would like to dig into The Ghost Bride by Yang Si Chu with him, because again, it's a ghost bride. There's definitely a ghost story here, but it's not like jumping out of shadows and things like that. It's not in that kind of way. It's a more probably more of a literary story with this sort of special sort of element to it. And this is a book I don't want to read, but I just haven't yet. So let's buddy read it, Yun Ho. Yep. Okay, Mingi. Look, Mingi reads smut, and that's all there is to it, and you cannot convince me otherwise, okay? You're just not going to convince me otherwise. So what I want him to read is the Never King series by Nikki St. Crow, because I will not stop talking about this series. You can't make me. But he would love this, and again, you're not going to convince me otherwise. So this is a really dark Peter Pan retelling, sort of, I guess, reverse harem-ish type story, when we follow, when Peter's trying to find his shadow, but there's a connection to the Darling family, and the new Wendy's that come along, and the new as they turn 18, they Peter kidnaps Winnie, or the new darling, and she's gonna, damn it, she's gonna help him find his shadow. But this Winnie is a little something more than they have bargained for, and we love it. We love it. I love this world that was created by Nikki St. Crow. You know, it's Neverland, but you know, we have all this familiarity. There's Lost Boys, there's pirates, there's Tinkerbell, fairies. They're all there, but they are just grown up, and we love it. And why not Ice Planet Barbarians while he's at it? How about some alien smut? Like, again, you're not gonna convince me otherwise that he's not a smut lover. Everyone's read this, I know, but maybe Mingy hasn't. So this is, you know, Earth women are kidnapped by this other group of aliens, and they crash land on this ice planet, and they come across these blue guys. They're not just guys. There's a whole bunch of people. There's women too. And bow chicka wow wow. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. It's so good. So what I want to read with Mingy is some more monster smut. I want to read Mandy and the Tentacle Monster by Baby Harper with Mingy, because we were just gonna have so much fun reading that book together. That's enough said. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, let's talk about Woo Young, last guy on the list. I really feel like he would like some more what's the word? Maybe kind of thrillery type books, but action. I have a lot of action in them. I feel like he would like more action kind of type stories. And I think he would really dig Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. There's a lot of action here, a lot of like fights and gunplay and stuff like that. And the story itself is actually just absolutely wonderful. And so we're following two fathers as they come together because their two sons who are married in a gay relationship were murdered, and the cops don't seem to be doing anything about it, and so they kind of are taking the law into their own hands, and we're just follow them as they go along. It's so good. It's really just so good, and I think Will Young would like it. Also, I think he really would kind of like Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Again, it's really fast paced, even though there's a science fiction element as far as what I was kind of not multiverse, but yeah, in a way, because this guy who can go through different, periods of his life or whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm tired now, but it's really fast paced and actiony, and I think that would really appeal to Woo Young. Now, as far as buddy reading, again, a more kind of actiony type book. It's a manga, but it's Kaiju number 8. I've been wanting to dig in this series up. I do have volume 1. I think this just sounds, again, just like a lot of fun, a lot of action. We got kaiju. I mean, what could go wrong here? I think it would be a lot of fun to read this with you young, and we would have a lot of fun. Okay, so these are my books recommending some books to the members of Ateez. It's fun. It's just silly fun, right? You gotta have fun sometimes in your life. So let me know if you're an Ateez fan, what you think about my recommendations. Do you think I kind of hit them, did good here, or did I miss the mark on some of these guys? I'm very, very curious what you think. If you're not an Ateez member or an Ateez fan, maybe you just got some book recommendations. I don't know. So, again, I'll kind of link some Ateez stuff below if you're interested in just checking them out. I mean, honestly, they're really, really good. Lots of energy, lots of fun. They're just really good. So yeah, I'm going to end it here. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I appreciate your time. And until next time, bye-bye.